I went into this movie excited. I was the only critic in the screening who screamed in joy when the opening titles came on screen. I wanted to like this movie. I came out of Last Jedi and I was distracted, and I actually didn't hate it as much as everyone else did. And then as I sat with the movie, I had a lot of problems with the plot, going, well, where is this going? And then, as I said more, I'm not a fan of Last Jedi. That said, I respect people who like it. Look, you're allowed to like whatever you want. Your movie's terrible and you're an idiot. No, we're not doing that here. No, if you want that, go away. My point is, I went into this movie extremely open-minded. I wanted to become a Star Wars fan again, get excited by J.J. Abrams taking the reins and bringing it back and sort of where we wanted as fans. Sadly, he took it too far. He took it way too far. He was overcompensating so much for The Last Jedi that he steered into this weird fan film level fan service, trying to overcompensate for the mistakes that he clearly thinks The Last Jedi made. I mean, there's a couple moments in this film, again, no spoilers, I'm not going to get into spoilers here. There's a couple moments in the film where it just felt like a big middle finger to Last Jedi. JJ is barreling through this movie at a pace that is nauseating at times. He just does not take any moments to slow down and ask, find itself or take its time. It is just barreling at full speed as if he has a lot to make up, as if he just knows, oh my God, we screwed up. Disney's mad. Kathleen Kennedy's mad. Bob Iger's mad. Everybody's mad. We got to sell toys. We got to fix Star Wars. All right, I'm just going to try and do it. And I think JJ took an impossible task. He took an impossible task because Rian Johnson went his own way. And then everyone said, no. You got to turn around, JJ, and you got to figure it out. I don't know why JJ did it. I can't even fathom why he would have taken this opportunity on, because it's just, how do you solve it? How do you solve it? You can't. And so JJ's attempt to solve it is to give the fans what he thinks they all want. And for me, that was the worst thing he could have done. He just, instead of embracing Last Jedi for what it was and attempting to right some wrongs, but then continue in a path, it just falls down the same retreaded steps we've seen before. It's literally still, I mean, there's another Death Star in the movie. I mean, I don't want to spoil things, but it's like, there's like a rule that there has to be a Death Star in every movie. And then beyond that, like the movie rips so much from Return of the Jedi that it's all starting to feel so repetitive. It's plot beats of things that I again, I'm not going to spoil. I don't want to get into it, but so much of Return of the Jedi, I was like, well, why? So you just were going to redo that one because it's the last one in the trilogy? That's the only other sort of trilogy ender you know how to sort of take notes from? Look, the whole thing is a bit of a mess for me. I took some notes. I want to go through sort of notes. Again, I'm not going to get into spoilers here. Here's how the film starts. Okay? Because if you remember with Last Jedi, the heroes were, outnumbered, completely almost destroyed, really decimated, and then stopped due to Luke Skywalker distracting them long enough and sacrificing his life somehow because he force ghosted himself there. Don't get me started on how the Force works. After this movie, I have no clue. I have no clue how the Force works. Anyway, at the end of The Last Jedi, he gets them out to get just a few Resistance members out to sort of save the day. And now the film is a year later. And they're, do I have the crew here? I was trying to, there you go. It's a year later, and our team has, been prepping over the past year. They're prepping, and apparently, the First Order wasn't a strong enough competitor, given that they nearly crushed them and almost destroyed the entire, all the rebels out. No. As recent clips have now revealed, I feel like everybody knows, and the opening crawl of the film is about to reveal, the dead speak. Emperor Palpatine is somehow sent out a laughing voicemail or something. Just his ha 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 cackle goes throughout the whole galaxy, so everyone knows he's back. And as the crawl continues to sort of explain, Rey is now the last hope of the Jedi, and Kylo Ren is raging in secret to find the Phantom Emperor and destroy this new threat to his power. Really, that's the plot. And all you have to do is add some MacGuffins. to sort of allow and justify the main characters going on one last big adventure. And then answering, trying to answer some of those questions that never got answered in Last Jedi. JJ sort of attempts to just force that in as well, because he was listening and it was like, well, no one's upset. No one likes the Rian Johnson said nothing matters. Well, let's try and justify some stuff, which they attempt to do in certain areas. Again, no spoilers, but that's the biggest problem with the movie for me. It's backpedaling so hard from Last Jedi. It's just noticeable. It's not only just at a new fast sprint, but he's just trying to right so many wrongs and retcon the steps that Rian Johnson did. And this is where I'm conflicted because, look, I kind of wanted him to do that too because I didn't like the choices that Rian Johnson made. But there was something interesting about this, that Rian Johnson at least took some risks. He took some new risks and took it in a direction to sort of say, you know what, forget you all, you guys. I'm going to do something new. I'm going to rewrite Luke Skywalker. I'm going to attempt to say that your theories don't even matter. I'm going to have the balls to do that. I didn't like that he did it all. But now seeing the sort of nostalgia fest retread of everything else we've already done again, I don't know. Were we wrong? That's the question I think I'm going to be asking. I think others will be asking as time sits with this and we finally see the end of this. Was this really what we wanted? Was this what we wanted? Was to bring back all the characters and have this big moments and I don't know. It's hard. Again, let me take myself back because I don't want to spoil anything. Let me stay on my points. He's trying to sprint so hard to sort of his own version of sort of Star Wars Endgame at the end of this movie that nothing really pays off for me because he rushed through it all. I mean, for example, they put the trio together. Let's look at them. They get the trios back, not Rose, but Rey and Finn and Poe are finally back, and they're in together for the first time on an adventure. And it's just a little too late because we've never really seen them together. We've seen them in sort of duos, but this sort of rushed formation of this trio as if we're supposed to suddenly now care even more about them, it just doesn't work. The friendship, I don't hate these characters. They're fine characters. They're fine actors. They're just not ones I care about like I do the original because we have so much nostalgia and years with Luke and Han and Leia. And they're even in these, in the new trilogy. So it's like, it's hard to then just sort of compete with them and then make us care to the level we care with the old ones. And I just still, even at the end of this movie, I have no fault with the actors. They do a fine job. I think all three of them had more interesting stuff to do in this movie, to be fair. I just still didn't care. So that's on me. I just didn't care. And so the trio finally be together, while I think was smart of JJ to try and figure out, didn't really work. They go on this MacGuffin quest. For those that don't know what a MacGuffin is actually, I wrote the exact definition just so everyone understands. An object or device in a movie or a book that serves merely as a trigger for the plot. And so there's just these MacGuffins in the movie that serve no purpose but to put them on an adventure and give them an obstacle, and then they sort of get to their way. And look, I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, I understand when you need one for maybe a B plot, but it's kind of the whole movie. Our heroes go to find an object that was never important before, but suddenly the most important. And then, of course, you think they're going to find the object? I mean, come on. It's just such a standard trope in movies that it was sort of frustrating for me. And even after my first viewing, as I'm reminding my notes here, I can't even explain to you how or why or what was exactly happening with these MacGuffins, or how it sort of mattered, but I'm going to watch it again on Thursday to get more to try and figure out if I like it better or if I like it least, even less. But the points of the MacGuffin are confusing, and then they attempt to justify them by giving them backstory and importance to sort of attempt to make them not be MacGuffins, which made it only sillier for me. I'm just like, really? That's convenient. It didn't work for me at all. Look, he's just overcompensating for Last Jedi so much. He ups the fan service up by 100. And it's just, honestly, it made Solo look like an original movie to me. It is literally like, we're going to give you everything. We're going to throw in Star Wars at you. We're going to bring back catchphrases and characters. And again, no spoilers, but there's one eye-rolly moment where they bring something back, and I'm just like, oh my god, no, you didn't just say that. And I was trying the whole movie. I'm like, all right, well, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better, and it does ramp up. It gets exciting, but I never could connect anything. And all these sort of forced moments, I will call them, pun intended, they didn't work for me. They completely fell flat because of the pacing that JJ chose to do in this movie. He's rushing to the end to this sprint. It's sort of like Game of Thrones season 8, where there's some interesting things that I wish they would have like taken their time to digest, right? In the final season. But then they're like moving. They're like, no, we got to go make something else. Can we get this over with? It feels a lot like that. And it makes me sad that they didn't have more time to really spread this out, or even take some of these elements and put them in the movie too. There are elements in this that would have worked had they spread it out and let us build with it. But because he basically redoes part 2 and then gives us part 3 in one movie is what's happening in this. And it moves so quickly that it completely fell flat and didn't work for me, which is really frustrating because I thought I would have liked that, but I didn't like it. And the fan service is just so much. It's like, they even bring in sort of the Knights of Ren. Here I have an image of them as I'm talking about it. The Knights of Ren, sort of these things, they're characters they're teasing, like, oh, cool, and they've talked about. They do nothing. They just are there to look cool, and I feel like JJ's like, yeah, that'd be cool. Let's get him, have some cronies hanging around. But they really serve no purpose. And a lot of this movie, a lot of the stuff in it just serves no purpose. And that's where it's just really frustrating. And as we dissect it, which we will, people will dissect this film like crazy and we'll be debating it. And a lot of people will not like this film. Die-hard Star Wars fans, they're going to love it. They're going to be like, oh my God, there's that. And oh my God, there's this. And oh my God, I can't believe this. Oh, there's Princess Leia. Cry, cry, cry. I guess I'm not as big of a Star Wars fan as I thought I was, that I couldn't just be, disguised by all that to attempt to justify the movie. It's all too much. And that's the nostalgia, the retconning, it all just sort of steers the ship in a direction that to me didn't help either the new or the old characters. And that was really, I think, JJ's detriment here. He borrows so much from the older films again, like I said, there's so much from Return of the Jedi. It's frustrating. But let's talk some positives. All right, so positives. The action, it's a lot of action. The action's cool. There's some cool set pieces. They are running around a lot to different areas, cool planets. The effects look great. Camera work's great. The music, John Williams once again hits it out of the park. And even the acting, I liked the acting. I thought all of the actors were fine. I have no problem with Daisy Ridley. I think she's just doing her best. They finally gave her a lot to do, but her motivations and everything in this movie are, I feel like, what was missing in part 2. And so to thrust those on us suddenly and then wrap up a finale, it just went too fast. And that was the problem. Why these have to be trilogies, I don't understand. He could have split this into 2 movies and it might have been better off. And they could have actually slowed some things down, justified some other things, and I think it would have been better for everybody. I don't know if I still would have liked it, but I would have. There are directions they could have gone if they were adding more that I would have really further enjoyed, which I'll break down in my spoiler talk, which I'm going to do Friday night. John Boyega is given something to do. They do give him sort of the third act works better for him. But he's still bumbling idiot at times. I'll break that down in my spoiler review more. Oscar Isaac is out of the, he's flying around, but he still gets out of the plane a few times. He's no Han Solo, and he's not one. I'm gonna be like, yeah, my favorite character is Poe. He's fine. He's very fine. He's just like middle of the road, does what he needs, fine actor, but again, very similar beats we've seen him do before. C-3PO. I was excited. I was like, oh, cool. There's going to be something to do with him. Yes, there is. But it's almost, he's becomes a MacGuffin is what's frustrating with it. And then you're just like, oh, okay. Was that necessary? It's just, oh, that was fun. I didn't find it fun. I found it kind of annoying. Chewbacca, he gets a very one fantastic emotional moment. Again, I'll break that down in my spoilers, but I'm a Chewie fan for life. Lando, he's back. He's fine. He's good. I liked him. Again, I don't want to get into the weeds of the plot and spoilers of how these things happen. I'm just talking about the things that are there. He's not a problem to me. He works. He comes in sort of small doses and didn't have a problem with him. Rose, she doesn't really have anything to do. She's in a couple scenes, but not a big part of this movie. That wasn't good or bad for me. It just was she was there. And then the 2 newcomers, I prefer Jana And she's, do I have her picture here? I don't think I do. She has the one on the horse. Anyway, she was the more interesting of the two sort of new main female leads, only because of her connection to one of the other characters, which I don't want to get into. But again, I'll break that down in my spoiler review, but I liked her. And then Zori Bliss, played by Kerry Russell, mixed feelings on her. She looks cool. But they sort of resort her to something that I just was like, that's her story here? Okay. Might have been more interesting if we met her sooner, or in one of the movies or somewhere else. But overall, she's just there. And then to wrap up the sort of the cast, Princess Leia, her scenes, she's in it a bit, but they're very short moments that clearly they were clipped out of stuff they filmed previously. And it clearly was very instrumental in how sort of JJ steered the script in the directions of whatever these sort of moments with Carrie Fisher were. And I applaud JJ and everybody for figuring out how to put her in the movie without it seeming like a CGI fest. These are clips that they figured out how to, I don't know if they shot them in the locations or they rotoscoped her out. Fascinating to learn how they did all that. But, I was glad she was there, but none of it really packed the emotional wallop, for me at least, that I hoped it would. I didn't see anybody. I mean, I saw a boring critics reading, sadly. I kind of wish I'd seen it with a crowd. They might have made it more fun. I'm going to do it Thursday and see if that gets me more excited. I thought it would make me more emotional to see and be involved in those moments. And her trailer audio hit me harder than anything in this movie, sadly. I think it's because it moves again so quickly. Because he's trying to get through so much story and justify so many sort of fan complaints that it never has time to sort of settle and feel emotional to me, her moments. And so it didn't work, but it was nice to see her there. I'm glad they figured out a way to sort of continue, but it also just made me sad that she couldn't have been more involved in the movie. Like, I'm sure they would have done a whole bunch of different things. I wonder if they still would have sort of stuck her with like, generaling or admiraling, whatever commander, I forget, I lose who's who. But overall, as I wrap this up, I'm disappointed by it. I'm sadly disappointed by it. It tilted. He's trying to retcon so much that it tilted too far. The scales tipped in the other direction, where now it's just like, fans, does this work? Is this what you wanted? See, look what I did. I did that and did this and cool, right? Oh, did you hear him say that? And it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me because he was just trying so hard, and it shows that it wasn't like, oh, good job. It felt more like, dude, slow down. Just, what are you doing? We didn't need all those MacGuffins. Just figure out a cool plot and get the characters there. There's all of these years of Star Wars, and our finale is left with finding objects and then sort of learning the secret of things. Very disappointing from a plot perspective. And it just shows that Disney was rushing them and that J.J. Abrams was doing the best he could. He's admitted now that he was writing on set, changing things as they went. That's not usually a good sign. And it just shows why this trilogy is a letdown, because there was no grand plan. I think clearly JJ had a plan. And I think these are moments that he probably would have put into part 2. And had they spread them out and we didn't have such a drastic departure with Last Jedi, things might have been different. At the same time, it makes me wonder if Rian Johnson had given the opportunity to sort of hit his landing, would we have seen something different and new to sort of in time inspire us to be like, wow, well, at least he had the guts to sort of go where he wants? Because honestly, I would have rather seen that than more of the same. And that's where I keep asking the question. I know people, I tweeted about it yesterday, and people are like, you're crazy. No one could ever say Last Jedi is better. I don't know, man. This one just irritated me from a fan perspective. It was too much for me. Overall, I wish he had spread it out over the second movie to let it breathe and really help this find like more emotion than I feel like it needed to earn, which it didn't deserve yet. And that's ultimately where I think the thing fails for me in my eyes. It didn't work for me because it's trying to lean on your emotions and the nostalgia, and the characters there aren't invested. I'm not invested in them enough. And it's not anything about like, oh, screw the character. No, we've seen them in 2 movies, and the second movie was kind of boring and didn't really progress any of them in a direction that I feel like helped the story. At the end of the first movie, we immediately sort of connect to the second movie, and they go on a sort of again, whether you like Last Jedi and then like this will be very interesting. I want to talk to more fans, and we will be talking to fans. I'm going to be doing a big live spoiler Nerd Wars spoiler review this Friday night. The link will be here at the end of the video, so go click on it. Stay tuned. Go hit the little notification. Notify me, remind yourself. It's going to be 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to talk all about Star Wars. It gives you sort of 24 hours to go see it. We will give you lots of spoiler warnings, but at that point, sort of Friday night, feels like, all right, we can start talking. So all these that are going to see it or have seen it or are going to see it Thursday, please join us because I want to hear from you guys, because I really wish I liked it more, but it was just a mess, I think is how you sort of sum it up. And if I could sum it up with one word, it's messy. It just feels messy. Whereas Rian Johnson's version was out there and frustrating. I prefer that. I prefer to have an emotional reaction versus just, oh God. Like, again, I'm just not a fan, I guess, sadly, anymore, to be honest. I think a lot of you will see it. I really do think you should see it. This is worthy of the conversation and the debate. But go in and just be civil afterwards. Let's have it. I'm not saying it sucks or screw anybody who likes this movie. I wasn't a fan. To sort of echo that, it's like, there's some space battles in this throughout the movie, and they just start feeling very repetitive to me. It's like, how many times we're outnumbered. Oh, okay, well, let me get out of here. And then I survived and I shot him. It just, I've seen it so many times that by now you'd think in this new era, we would have reinvented the space chase and the Star War, and they haven't. They're still relying on the beats of its predecessors, and that's where, to me, I'm just like, I'm bored. I'm bored of it. I want to see something new. I think it's frustrating because the new characters in this, no one stands out. None of the new characters really stand out to go like, oh man, that's great. Whereas Mandalorian, I feel like, has introduced several characters, side characters, and I'm like, damn, I want to see that one again. Even Phantom Menace, if you go back to the prequels, like, hello, Darth Maul, even General Grievous, like, there are just characters you're like, man, that was a cool character. And sorry, Zero Bliss and Jana and Dio, or whatever, the new robot, whatever. And that's, how do you mess that up? How do you not develop and build an awesome new character into your movie that really takes it in a direction like Darth Maul did? We're like, damn. Instead, it's just leaning back on a lot of stuff we know, MacGuffins, fan service, flashbacks, everything that you sort of would expect, kitchen sink that JJ pretty much throws at you, hoping that, did I do good? Do you guys like me now? Did I solve it? And for me, look, I appreciate the effort in that. What a tough task you took on, JJ. But I think ultimately this will be a trilogy that doesn't last. It doesn't create as much of an impact as I think they wanted it to. A lot of money was spent. Looks pretty. Cool effects. But I'm just not emotional. I just don't care. Now that we see the ending, it just disappoints me. There wasn't much to go there. And again, talking about the ending, I want to talk about it in depth because I can't talk about it here, but parts of the ending and the choices they make through all that also just reiterated why I didn't like it, because it just didn't sit well. The ending didn't sit well with me. Choices that were made just didn't sit well with me. But I look forward to having that conversation with you all Friday night. Join me for my spoiler review live. Up here will be about sort of where you can click on it and join. Again, notify yourself, be reminded. Come join us that Friday night if you're not seeing the movie then, so we can all have this conversation. It's going to be an epic Nerd Wars spoiler review, a lot of stuff. So join us. Thank you so much for bearing with me as I try to get my thoughts together. It's going to be divisive, as I've said. It is one that requires a lot of talking, so I hope some of my thoughts and points came across clearly. If you have questions, hit me down below or on social media. Be sure to subscribe. Lots more Star Wars content's coming and other stuff as we break this down, because I think we should be talking about this for a while. So please subscribe and join to see reviews and things early if you want to become a fan of this channel and support it. Thank you so much for watching. May the Force be with all of us. Please just be nice. Look, it's okay if you don't like a movie. I'm not saying this to sort of tank the movie. I don't have a problem with Disney Star Wars to the extent that so many others do. I'm disappointed with the choices that have been made, and as a fan, that bums me out. But I want them to make more movies. I want them to figure it out. I want them to give filmmakers with vision the chance to take Star Wars in a new direction. Star Wars is not dead to me, but I am definitely saddened that this didn't hit it for me. I hope it hits for some of you. Let's be respectful for those who do enjoy it. If you're annoyed with me because I don't like it, tough. I'm not annoyed that you like it. Let's just talk about what our problems were and see if we can have that conversation. Again, have them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with more content soon. Bye, everybody.